A critical vulnerability in the Erugo file sharing platform has hit the maximum severity score of 10 out of 10, and it's allowing low-privileged users to take complete control of servers.
I'm Morgan. That's Alex. Let's break it down.
We're starting today with a real heavy hitter in the self-hosted space. It's CVE 2026-24897, and it affects Erugo. If you're not familiar, it's a platform people use to host their own file sharing services, similar to a private Dropbox or WeTransfer.
And before we get into the mechanics, I noticed that's a 2026 ID. We're seeing more of these future-dated or pre-allocated IDs lately, aren't we?
We are. It usually means the researcher or the vendor is getting ahead of the public disclosure curve. But the flaw itself is classic. It's a path validation issue. Essentially, an authenticated user, even someone with very low permissions, can upload a file and tell the server to put it anywhere they want.
Wait, anywhere? Like right into the public web root?
Exactly. If they can drop a malicious script into the web root, they can execute it remotely. That gives them full remote code execution. From there, the server is effectively theirs. They can steal data, pivot into the rest of the network, or just lock the whole thing down.
This is giving me flashbacks to all those file transfer breaches we saw last year. It seems like these platforms are just permanent targets because they're designed to sit on the edge of the network and handle sensitive data. If you're running Erugo, you need to check your version immediately. This affects everything up to and including version 0.2.14.
Right. Patching is the only real move here. Now, moving from the brand new to the surprisingly old, we have a pair of vulnerabilities that just hit the database despite having 2020 IDs.
Another backdated one, huh? Or two, actually. CVE 2020-36997 and CVE 2020-37000. Why are we talking about 4-year-old IDs today?
It's that NVD backlog we've talked about. These have been in the disclosure queue for a while, and sometimes it takes years for the coordination between researchers and the database to finally go public. The first one, CVE 2020-36997, is in a tool called BacklinkSpeed 2.4.
BacklinkSpeed. That sounds like an SEO tool. Those aren't exactly known for high-end security audits.
No, they aren't. This is a buffer overflow. An attacker crafts a malicious file, you import it, and it corrupts the structured exception handler, the SEH chain. It's a reliable way to get code execution on older Windows environments.
And the other one is similar, right? Free MP3 CD Ripper?
Exactly. CVE 2020-37000. It's version 2.8 of that Ripper software. Same deal, a stack buffer overflow. But this one uses a malicious WAV file. It's got everything, shellcode, SEH bypass, and even an egg hunter technique to find the payload in memory.
An egg hunter? That's a bit of a throwback. It feels like we're looking at a time capsule of exploit techniques. But the reality is, people still use these legacy tools on old workstations. If that workstation is connected to your corporate network, it's a wide open door.
It really is. It's a reminder that old doesn't mean irrelevant. If it's on your network, it's a risk. Speaking of risks on the network, let's talk about the massive footprint of exposed AI servers researchers just found.
This is a big one. Sentinel-1, Sentinel Labs, and Census did a joint investigation and found 175,000 Ollama AI servers just sitting there, publicly accessible across 130 different countries.
Well, Llama is great for running large language models locally, but the problem is that locally often turns into publicly if you don't configure the firewall. These 175,000 hosts are basically an unmanaged layer of AI infrastructure that anyone can poke at.
It's the new shadow IT, isn't it? Instead of a rogue database, it's a rogue AI instance. Developers want to play with these models, they spin them up on a cloud instance or even a home machine, and they forget that by default, some of these setups are listening for connections.
And it's not just about stealing the model. If you have access to the Ollama API, you might be able to use that compute for your own purposes, or worse, find ways to pivot into the host machine. It's a massive global attack surface that didn't exist 2 years ago.
It's wild how fast this grew. 130 countries. It shows how desperate people are to get AI running without the guardrails of the big providers. But they're trading those guardrails for zero security. Switching gears to some regulatory news, France is making it clear that oops isn't a valid defense for data breaches.
Yeah, the CNIL, that's the French Data Protection Authority, just fined France Travail nearly $6 million. That's the National Employment Agency.
$6 million is a statement. This wasn't just a minor slip-up. The CNIL cited poor data security failings. When you're handling the employment data of an entire nation, the stakes are about as high as they get.
It's a trend we're seeing across Europe. Regulators are moving past the educational phase of GDPR and into the enforcement phase. If you're a government agency, you're expected to lead by example, not be the cautionary tale.
Exactly. Now, we also need to mention SolarWinds. They've released patches for 4 critical vulnerabilities in their web help desk product.
This is important. These flaws allow for remote code execution or authentication bypass without any credentials. That is a drop everything and patch situation.
And it's web help desk specifically, which is often a prime target because it's where all the internal secrets live. Passwords, network diagrams, sensitive employee issues. If an attacker gets into your help desk, they have the keys to the kingdom.
Right, it's that same pattern. Hit the tools the IT team uses to manage the network. If you're using SolarWinds Web Help Desk, get those patches applied today.
Before we wrap up, a few quick hits. Microsoft Teams is adding a feature by mid-March that lets users report suspicious calls as scams or phishing. I think that's long overdue given how much vishing we're seeing on collaboration platforms.
Agreed. And Google is rolling out stronger Android authentication and recovery tools to fight phone theft. It's making it harder for thieves to actually use or sell a stolen device.
And finally, in D.C., the nomination for the new NSA head, Army Lieutenant General Joshua Rudd, is moving forward. He's been testifying about the importance of Section 702, the foreign spying law. It's interesting because he might be at odds with some other national security picks, like Tulsi Gabbard, who has been pretty critical of those powers in the past.
It's going to be a very interesting year for surveillance policy. But for today, the priority is clear. Check your Erugo instances for CVE 2026-24897 and get those SolarWinds Help Desk patches live.
Your daily AI-powered security briefing. If this saved you time, subscribe. We're here every morning.
Stay patched, stay paranoid.